Welcome to the Danger Show podcast, episode 13, where my friend Harry Psaros, the Pitt Guru, joins us. He is a friend, even a neighbor. Let's put it that way. And so I've known you about a decade, Harry. You have been really busy over the last year and a half, 2 years, because you wrote a book called From Struggle to Strength. And we're going to talk about Pitt and football and sports and stuff like that coming up. But you've really dedicated your life to this cause. You have two sons, and one was diagnosed with autism. And you've been dealing with that, just like any parent that has that diagnosis. But you've decided to try to help others as well with this book, From Struggle to Strength. And so you've been touring around doing speeches. And what's it been like the last year doing this with the book?
It has been an absolutely prolific 2 years. It's changed my life. I've been working with an agent the last 6 months, and it's been incredible. I probably by now have been on upwards of 40 plus podcasts, not all autism as well. I have a martial arts background. Some had me on, but we parlayed that mentality, that martial arts mindset, into raising a son on the spectrum. I've been on mindset podcasts in Southeast Asia. I've been able to get on Good Day New York. I've been on KDKA here locally on television twice. It has been amazing. I've been on Dr. Radio on Sirius XM. So my little book that I didn't know where it would go became an Amazon bestseller, and it has really affected some lives and inspired people around the world. And if you give out to others, you get double in return. And to wake up every day and to receive an email or a text or from someone around the world or in the country just telling me that I inspired them or they need help, and I've reached out to some of them, has been amazing. It's been a true blessing.
I was going through your socials before this interview, and did I see that your book, which is in the background there, From Struggle to Strength, written by Harry Psaros, who's from Pittsburgh, did I see that you won an award in Africa?
Oh my gosh, I could go on and on about this. I won an African Laureate Award, and I will tell you the greatest, it gave me chills. My son, who recently graduated from Kent State, and he's starting a second degree here in probably about a week with Kent State up in East Liverpool, was given a National Courage Award. And we were in New York when he was receiving it because he allowed me to write this. And he said to me, came into my study and said, "Dad, if it's going to help just one person, we need to do it." And I had a priest come up to me in garb, and he said to me, we're friends on Facebook, which I didn't even know. I have a lot that come through for the book. And he said, "I have 3 copies of your book in my church in Uganda." And he goes,
Wow.
"Obviously, you haven't translated." Now, we've translated in 4 languages, Greek, Spanish, French, and German. But he said, "I read it to my parishioners." If that doesn't humble you as a human being, I don't know what does. But it also shows you how small our planet can be. And I have made friends now in New Zealand, in Australia, in the UK, in Finland. It's just been awesome. But yes, believe it or not, I've been on 2 podcasts in Africa, and I won an African Laureate Award, which I never thought would come out of my mouth. It's amazing.
And I think what this tells us is that autism is a global epidemic. It's not just in the United States. It's all over the world. And the numbers are really staggering. Now, I've heard people, and I want to cover this with you real quick, but because you were on my radio show last year. I've had people from Robert Morris and Duquesne, and that the numbers are up to now where, like, what is it, 1 in 30 kids has autism now? Roughly
1 in 31, and in various geographies like California, it's a little higher. And and there's some people are equating that to the high amounts of glyphosate. So you think California, right? Sand, beaches, healthy, but there's a lot of agriculture as well with extra glyphosate poison going down, and they're trying to equate the two. But right now, I think the safe number to go with, which is still staggering, is 1 in 31. Testing, you're seeing those rates going up. A lot of it isn't just because of extra genetics or anything like that. Testing is becoming far, far better.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask, because I've had some people, and I don't want to call them naysayers, but some people are like, well, we're seeing a lot more now because we're actually testing more people. And I think they're trying to say that we had just as many people with autism 30 years ago as we do now. And I don't think the science says that.
No, not at all. Not at all. In the early 80s, and let me say this. Look, we're in a house where both of us work. My wife's a school nurse. I work as well. But when we start getting into a faster paced society, just in my opinion, I think you start seeing the degradation of food. And all you have to do is go into the middle aisles of a grocery store and you see the junk that's there. Yeah. And on top of that, what we saw was a sicker populace. So we start using more antibiotics. There's more and when I say vaccines, I want to be careful with that. But the point being, there is a higher probability with weaker immune systems with these children starting in the early 80s. And that's where you start seeing the escalation. So the people that have said that are completely incorrect. You weren't seeing this as much 30, 40 years ago.
And and this is where politics can come into play too very quickly. There's people that think if you question vaccines, you're an anti-vaxxer or something like that. And I think that the rate of children with being diagnosed with autism means that we should look at everything. We should look at vaccines. Why do we have so many more of them? Should we, make sure that because we're putting this in our children's bodies, but don't stop there. Check, like you just said, food, preservatives. What are we spraying on vegetables?
Dyes, right?
Yeah,
food dyes
everything.
Are poison. And let me say this: a vaccine saved lives. I want to make that declarative statement so no one looks at me. But there is a concept called immunoexcitotoxicity, and what occurs is a blitzkrieg. So if you're injecting I have no problems with vaccines, but with our second son Max, I did slow them down a little bit. Because when the blitzkrieg occurs, some of the kids, including my oldest son, have a proclivity where their brain thinks it's being attacked, and there's an autoimmune response. So anyone that wants to research it, it's called autoimmunoexcitotoxicity, and it's a very valid concept that's out there. But no, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I do believe if you're look, it's your child. If you want to slow it down a little, do it. But go and get them ultimately. So, like I said, it's a very slippery slope in this space. A lot of people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, because they worry it points them to some political angle. And when you're talking about our children and our future, we're not talking about politics here. We're talking about let's look at everything out there from what we're ingesting, through food, drinks, through vaccines, medicines, whatever, everything out there. Like I've even heard people talk about what they spray on our vegetables before they even get to our house, when you're trying to eat healthy. So I think that look at everything because if you're looking at 1 out of 31 kids now with autism, I mean, if that doesn't make you stop and go, we got to, I think it kind of angers me a little bit when I come across someone that goes, oh, we always had that. We just didn't test for it. No, we didn't. There's something going on right now.
Just to be blunt, those people are intellectually lazy. When you hear a lot of these declarative statements, I will immediately go back and go, what research have you done? And I watch that vacant stare. I've seen this too many times. So I would encourage anyone, don't even listen to me, research, do your facts. And again, as I mentioned, I screwed up the name before, immunoexcitotoxicity. That's kind of what I threw out. I will say this, and this isn't meant to be political. I don't mind some of what RFK Jr. has done. On the flip side, I look for declarative scientific evidence. So a good example was the Tylenol issue when they had the press conference. I probably wouldn't have gone that down direction. I've read that study multiple times. There's no definitive evidence. So I just wouldn't have done it. But it is what it is. To your point, if you have a child with autism, you need to steer the ship. And I would encourage those people to clean the diet up. Don't worry, remove all toxic foods, all processed foods, all food dyes, and then find a good neurodevelopmental specialist to work with them. If you hit it early and often, that's the whole purpose of the book. If you hit it early and often, you can make a better version of that of your child. Like, all we were told through my son's life is what he couldn't do. And he just graduated and he's going for a second degree right now.
And we're talking about your older son, Gus.
There he is.
You and Gus, you were just on Pittsburgh Today Live here in Pittsburgh recently. So he's been part of the PR. And has he enjoyed doing that with you?
I have to tell you, you grow when you do something you get uncomfortable with. And he has gone from someone who was initially nervous to do a sit-down interview with a reporter to actually loving every interview. And he's actually improved. Like I said, we were just on BYU radio that goes out to like 3 different states. And it's a podcast / radio show. He took the interview over. So I'm what I'm really proud about is this young man who has fought so hard his entire life. And don't think because he's mild that it's easy. I want to stress that. You have level 1, 2, and 3, mild, moderate, severe. But he has become a symbol for hope. I tell people that he graduated from college and their eyes get this big if they have a young child on the spectrum. So I'm really proud of the young man he's become. He starts his second degree here in about a week, and he wants to help as many people as possible. I'm really proud of him.
And I'm going to show a picture. We're talking about, all the press you've been doing, a U.S. Journal cover there. You've been on quite a few covers throughout this process, haven't you?
It's been awesome. There's my Tony Soprano look, and I've been asked by countless publications to come on. I've been on and I was on a major UK publication as well, and it's just been, like I said, it's humbling. It really is. As long as it brings the attention to the right place, and that's to my book and helping others, I'm happy.
So you and your wife, Michelle, I just saw this. You celebrated an anniversary over the summer, 26 years of marriage. How long into the marriage did you have children, and when did you find out that your son had autism?
I want to say we went about 2 years maybe into marriage, and then we had Gus, and we detected it around 3, which is, in terms of the maturation process, is very typical. They're picking it up now anywhere from 2 to 4 very early. But Michelle's a hero in the book, and I talk about this. I'm a lunatic type A, if you can't tell by now. I could have fun at a monastery, at an insurance seminar, and I could not fathom that my son would have something that would prohibit him socially in other areas for the remainder of his life. Michelle pushed. So she had a belligerent husband, she had belligerent pediatricians, and she pushed through. And when we received the diagnosis, I write about this in my book, we had to drive back from the Cleveland clinic. I had 2 hours. The first hour was telling her, I'm sorry. And she had to hear that from me. The second hour, I went into my boxing mode. I was in hyper-adrenalized mode. And I saw autism as my foe. I go back to Sun Tzu that says, know thy enemy. I dove right over to Barnes & Noble and start buying every book possible to really educate myself on autism and go from there. But make no doubt, Michelle's a warrior mom and a major, major hero in this book.
Did the diagnosis pull you together closer eventually? Because I feel like there's some families, when they get a diagnosis like this, it breaks them up. And then there's others, they get even closer.
Here's my answer to you. The couples that get it and understand that you need to work together synergistically to help this child, you need to both be on the same page and go all in, they grow closer. My wife and I, Michelle, we grew closer. What my book addresses, and there's too much of this, is there's always one, and I hate to say this, but the majority of the time it might be the father. And that's why I wrote this book, because there's very few male voices in this space that says enough. I try to really give a wake-up call. There's 2 types of dads. I'll tell you real quick. The macho dad that thinks he's too big of a badass, that there's no way that he could have sired a child that has developmental issues. Then you have the other father. I call them the stoic dads. They're on board, but the wives don't realize it. Men want to fix things. If your kid falls down, you put a Band-Aid on it. You can't put a Band-Aid on autism. So the wife doesn't realize it, but they're stoic because they're trying to figure out how to fix their kid. So What my book tries to do is get both of those dads and get them on board, not just supporting their child, but supporting their wife. Because if you get focused and you're on board and you row that boat together in the same direction, good things can happen.
And I think I've heard you say this before, that you can't, there's not a cure per se,
right?
But there are things you can do. And you said that earlier in this interview we're doing right now, that, you were able to get Gus into some programs and do things that did, he's a better version of himself that maybe people that you were around at the time of diagnosis ever thought he would be.
So let me stress this for people who don't understand autism. My son is quote unquote mild. We spent hours. We had therapists here, hours of behavioral modification therapy. Michelle, all day. She'd be exhausted when they left. They'd be here all day. We had food texture therapy. We had socialization therapy. We had the cleaning of the diet, the elimination of the bad foods, which was crazy back then. It's a little easier now. And the other thing I'll tell you, the game changer for us was actually rewiring his brain. They have some centers here in the area called Brain Balance, the works of Dr. Robert Malello. And Gus went through 3 semesters, and it changed the way his brain was processing. Now, is he perfect? No. I love my son for who he is.
None of us are, though. None of us are.
Exactly. But what I want to stress to anyone listening to this is you simply want the best version of that child. And that's what we work at. And we're not done. I fly him down every year for stem cells down in Florida. We're always looking for modalities to help him out. We try not to fatigue him and get him tired, but we are on a relentless pursuit to make him the best version of himself he could be. To this day, and he's 22 years old.
From Struggle to Strength is out there now, where you can buy it anywhere you buy books.
It's on Amazon. It's on Audible. So if you want to hear a little more of this voice, you're going to hear it. And again, it's also internationally. It's out there in 4 languages.
This is a picture of your family. This is a recent photo. So there's you, your wife, Michelle. There's Gus there with the Berg Cave T-shirt on. And then your other son, Max. And I've known you a while. There was a time where, you thought maybe he would be diagnosed with autism, but you said that ultimately he's just ADHD, and he's going to Allegheny. This is on the campus of Allegheny College here, Matt.
That was us last week. We dropped him off. He's a 200-pound safety on the football team. He's a junior. And I got to tell you, Max 2 ACLs, hasn't been able to play. He's ready to go this year. He's benching over 300 pounds. And this is a young man that loves the game and never said, "I'll quit," despite the ACL. So he's ready to go. That was us dropping him off. We were at the football barbecue there, and we're all Allegheny all the time. Go Gators!
But there are, and we're gonna switch over to sports here in a second. But there are kids with autism, because it's the spectrum, and I always say the special. I like the word special needs better than autism, because when you say spectrum, we all have some special needs. Every human being on earth, whether it's you need everything to you need help tying your shoe or riding your bike. There's a whole bunch. But if you find out your child has autism, that doesn't mean they're not going to go play football in college, right, Harry? I mean,
exactly. Look, we need to be very honest. There are scenarios where their children or young adults that are late, moderate to severe.
Okay.
In those scenarios, and listen, I'm cognizant of that.
Okay.
They'll probably be with their parents the remainder of their lives, or with a sibling. What I try to tell people, and they'll come up to me at fundraisers and go, "Well, your child was mild." That's different. I stop them. The point of my book, and I talk about my 2% rule, helping them every day, is a win is a win. It may look different than my son Gus, but a win is a win. You could still help them if they're late, moderate to severe. Now, those are a little bit different scenarios, but the level 1 to level 2 autistic young adults or children, absolutely. If you dive in early and help them, and I call it relentless love, looking for every modality, they can live a very fruitful life. They can be employed. They potentially could be married. So never lose hope, and don't listen to naysayers. If we did, my son would be nowhere right now.
How often, and I've had conversations with, one of my children was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD, and it was pretty severe dyslexia. And we did the brain balance. We did other, we ended up finding the perfect, you have to keep looking, right? You have to keep, we found Robert Morris University that helped, and he's reading now and he's thriving. But there was a time when, when you first get a diagnosis, you don't know what the future holds. And I think even though you said that ultimately Gus's version of autism might be milder, when you first found out, right? You didn't know. You just had to do everything you could to try to prepare him for life.
Absolutely. We were on an island. And like I said, what I want to stress, he was level 1 or mild. We put in thousands of hours of therapy, what we've spent in supplementation, what we have spent. I can go on and on and on. What I want to stress is I don't care what level they're at. It ain't easy. I promise you that. Right. But, I believe in Stoic philosophy, right? The obstacle is the way. The beauty now is looking at the fruits of our labor and seeing this young man thrive. And the way I see it, he's still mold of clay, right? I could still work with him, and there's still more we can do to improve him.
Look at that smile on his face. Look at those boys.
That's right.
That's a happy family.
Absolutely. We're proud of both boys.
So do you take calls? And that's what I was getting to a moment ago, because I know you took mine, 10 years ago. now that you've really got out there with the book and you're speaking all around the world, I'll put this picture back up. Harry Psaros, autism advocate. How often do you take a call or speak with a parent that just found out or is dealing with, parenting a child with autism?
In my book, I state, if you are struggling, reach out to me. I don't, like, by no means I'm not qualified, but I feel like I'm a mindset coach. And when I say I back that up, I had a mother from Cape Town, South Africa, who, by the way, they want me to go there to speak as well.
Wow.
Messaged me and said, can we do a Zoom with my husband? And you know what? I did it because he needed help and we spoke. So if there's anybody out there, I mean, I'm easy to find. Harry Psaros is on Insta, on Facebook. I'm at Pitt Guru on X because of the sports stuff. Find me, message me. And I've connected with countless fathers. And I'm trying, my goal, and I'm not going to lie to you, was to become one of the more preeminent male voices nationally. And 2 years in, I'm getting close to that because really it was a devoid space. There weren't a lot of dads that have written books and have been out there and been very vocal.
Yeah. I think there's so much unknown about autism that sometimes people don't want to talk about it, and it's something that we need to talk about every part of it, how to handle the diagnosis, and then also the part we started with about how do we stop the surge of how many kids are being diagnosed with it now. And we'll move on to sports here, but before we do, like, your new book is called From Struggle to Strength. Everybody go get, if you know someone if you're a parent of someone with autism, if you know someone, this is something that could help, a resource. What if someone finds out they have a child with autism? What would you say are like the things you should definitely do right away?
First of all, don't panic. Everything's going to be okay. I understand. I've been through that maelstrom of emotions. Second of all, immediately go. First of all, understand that the diagnosis isn't a scarlet letter. It's a path for improvement. So immediately go and find a neurodevelopmental specialist that can help him. And they will lay out a battle plan of modalities that can help you. The other thing you're going to need is a village. So you need to educate your family. You need to educate your friends. And some people, in our case, we have friends that are family. Make sure they're educated and find groups in the area. You could feel very isolated initially. We did until we started an organization here locally and met other people that were going through what we were going through. So those are the beginning stages. Make sure you're going to find the right person to set the battle plan to help them, the neurodevelopmental specialist. Like I said, educate yourself and others around you and build that village very quickly. And I'll say this, if you get any naysayers or anyone that's negative, I'm not telling you to cut them out of your life, but you might want to put them on mute because you don't need negativity in those early hours. Just remember, with unrelenting love and hitting it early, what I don't want to hear is apathy. That drives me crazy. Yeah. I've talked to parents who went, he got diagnosed about a year and a half ago. We got to start doing something. Well, hello, you've lost a year and a half. So dive in, vigilant, and get started.
I love it. Harry Psaros, get the book From Struggle to Strength. Now, before you wrote this book, and before I don't know where the Pitt Guru came in. Was it before you were married? How long have you been the Pitt Guru?
Oh my Lord! So the Pitt Guru thing came up. Long story short, I founded the very first site ever covering University of Pittsburgh sports, which I coded. I went home and coded. And what happened was I was pretty prevalent on some Big East sports 30 years ago. And I kept putting information out. And someone said, you're the Pitt Guru. And that's how I got my nickname. But I published the Rivals.com site. I published the Scout.com, which is now 24/7 site. I've evolved, but I've always been one of their top social media influencers. And now I'm the senior writer for Pittsburgh Sports Now, which was founded by the great Mike Vukovcan, formerly with KDKA. So I'm going to be writing like 1 or 2 articles a week. But every Sunday, it's been a lot of fun. I'm on Talking Football with JJ Kitchen. We have a Pitt podcast. JJ started. He brought me on one day. We had a lot of fans come on. And we've added Eric Dudek, who's a great friend as well, who does the Birdcage, which is an incredible Steelers podcast. And he's a football savant. He can break plays down. So you have me, who's been doing this 30 years, and I bring 30 years of stories. Larry Fitzgerald just got in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I have his highlight film VHS right here behind me in my study. I did all the interviews with him. So I've been at this for a long time. Recruiting is more my forte. Dealing with NIL now has been interesting, but we have it's just awesome. I love interacting with the fans. And we're going to be I'm excited for this weekend. We're going to have a big open meet and greet podcast. It's Southern Tier Brewery right near PNC Park, but it's a labor of love. I just love it. My wife knows when I'm in here typing to leave me alone, but that moniker means a lot to me. I'm a diehard Panther. I bleed blue and gold, and I love interacting with fans around the country.
The Pitt Panthers football season, I guess it kicks off. They kick off not this Saturday, but next Saturday, or is it Labor Day weekend?
I think it's Labor Day weekend. I should know this, by the way. I need to start meshing my son's schedule with Pitt to see what games I could go to.
Well, I know that you've been into, Pitt sports. And when I first moved here, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. And when I first came here to be on the radio on Froggy, I got Walt Harris on, and I was really into that. I moved here in 2002. And I think, was it Rod Rutherford was the quarterback? And they had Larry Fitzgerald, and then it went to Palco to Fitzgerald. That was a real magic time.
It was very exciting, and I think the Panthers this year have a chance to replicate some of that magic. They're bringing back their best offensive line they've had in years. Mason Heinchel, that was a freshman last year, won 7 games in a row and is.
Are you a little surprised we kept him? When I saw how good that quarterback Mason Heinchel, he was a freshman last year. He came in because the starting quarterback had become injured, I think, and he kind of got in. He was a freshman,
correct,
but he came out, was so good. First thing I thought is, holy NIL, somebody's going to steal this guy from Pitt.
They tried. Just so fans know this, Miami came in offering upwards of $5 million. To his credit, and you don't see it's crazy word in the age of NIL, loyalty.
Yeah,
went to Dews and said, "Hey, Coach Dews, can you help me here?" They were able to bump up his NIL. They didn't match the $5 million. What they did then, Miami went and pilfered Duke's starting quarterback for $5 million. Talk about loyalty. He said, "See ya," and just bolted. Right. So, God bless Mason. He stayed. Boozy, Turner, our running back's going to be exceptional. This should be potentially, I'm going to throw out a 9-win season. Like I said, we have to go through, and I think it's kind of critical for Coach Narduzzi at this point. It's year 3 of Cade Bell, the offensive coordinator. They should be able to average over 30 points a game. They have depth on defense across. They lost some stars, but they also added some through the transfer portal. So this should be a really fun year, in particular on the offensive side of the ball.
Pitt football, like I said, Walt Harris, that mid-2000s was a special time for Pitt. With Larry Fitzgerald, obviously he's went to the NFL Hall of Fame. But then it was Dave Wannstedt, right? He came back home to coach, and then where's the coaching carousel? Because we're at Narduzzi, and
after Wannstedt was summarily fired, and many look back now and will tell you it was a mistake. And then they went through absolute tumult. They had Hot Rod Todd Graham that was there 1 year, brought in literally I think one player in the recruiting class because all of them failed out. Set the program back 2 years. Then they brought in, whose name is escaping me, a coach that ended up on the police blotter in New Year's. He was 2 weeks into the job, and he ended up suing the school. They all that, so they had to get rid of him. So people don't give Coach Narduzzi enough credit. In comes Narduzzi, who was the top defensive coordinator in the country, had turned down 3 Division I offers to become a head coach, and he comes in. He's been a perfect fit. Coach Dews isn't perfect, but he's kept Pitt highly competitive. They have a physical identity. And I'm not sure he's been here now, 11 years, I believe. So I don't know when he's going to retire. It could be soon for all I know. But at the end of the day, Pitt fans should really thank him because they went through so much tumult around that Wannstedt time that he brought stability to the program. He brought an identity as well, and he's put a lot of players in the NFL.
Yeah, Todd Graham coached in 2011 after Wannstedt left. And I agree with you. I think they should have kept him. And then they had a guy named Paul Christ.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about – and I have to tell you, Christ was here, and I didn't like the way they set that up. The Wisconsin AD, Barry Alvarez, brought him in just to, warm him up and then pulled him. So, yeah, you're right. In fact, he kind of left in Samara. He left Todd Graham style. It was like an email and I'm gone. So, and I actually forgot about him. You're right. He did help clean the program up a little bit. But outside of that, so much tumult through the program, and that's where Narduzzi stepped in after that and calmed things down.
So I'm gonna give you. You said you think Pitt will win at least I think you said 9 games this year, which I love a prediction like that. I'm going to give you their schedule.
At the end of the season is going to be tough for them. They're going to be on the road with some tough teams. But I'm doing that. I'm basing that on the fact that I do think this offense is going to produce at a high rate. And previous offenses under Cade Bell, if they sustained an injury on the line or elsewhere, really set them back. I think they have a much more depth this year on both sides of the ball.
All right, we're going to put the Pitt Guru on the spot here. I'm going to give you each of the Pitt Panther football games this year. You just tell me if they're going to be it's going to be a win or a loss for them, okay? You said they're going to win 9, so you got 3 losses to throw out here on the schedule. Game 1, Miami of Ohio on September 5th.
W. It's a big win.
On September 12th, Pitt versus Central Florida.
Okay, could be a trap game. I'm worried about it, but I'm going to say W.
September 17th, a Thursday night game, Pitt versus Syracuse.
I'm going to give it a W. They're rebuilding. They were abysmal last year.
September 26th, Saturday game against Bucknell.
Obviously, disparity of talent. I'm going to go with the W there.
October 2nd, that's a Friday night game, Pitt versus Virginia Tech.
Whew, this one's tough. And we all know who went there to coach, James Franklin. This is a toss-up, but I'm going to go W Pitt. But that's the only one I'm very unsure on so far. That's going to be a tough one.
All right, now we go to October 10th, a Saturday game, Pitt versus North Carolina.
I think they're like I said, they're rebuilding as well. They were abysmal last year. I think they're going to be they're pretty ugly this year as well. I'm going to go W.
Saturday, October 17th, on the road, Pitt at Boston College.
W. BC. Well, let me say this. Conceivably, it's a win. BC always seems to have Narduzzi's number, but they have really, really struggled. And I put them in the category of Syracuse and North Carolina. I think it's a winnable game at W.
Well, you have them 7-0 right now, and they're going to go on Saturday, October 24th, for what will be their hardest game of the schedule, I guess. They're taking on Miami at Miami. I'm going to give it,
I hate to say it, I'll give it an L. Miami has so much NIL money. I can't begin to tell you. That's going to be I think they'll be more competitive than they were a year ago, but they're going to lose that game.
October 31st, Halloween. Pitt at home versus Georgia Tech.
This one's tough. We do have the home field advantage on this. I'll give it a W.
Okay. Last 3 games of the season. Friday night, another Friday night game for Pitt. That is November 13th versus Florida State at home against Florida State.
Because of the home field advantage, and the fact that they have been reeling, and the only reason that they didn't fire their head coach is because they don't have the money, and that's fact. Everyone knows that. He's like an abomination to most fans. I'm going to give that a W.
Norvell. You're talking about Mike Norvell.
Norvell, they want. Oh man, did they want him out? But they know it. They don't have the cash. The wheels could be off the train for Florida State by then. I'm just going to say a W.
For Pitt. Okay. All right. November 21st, Pitt at Louisville.
I'm going to say it's an L, and I don't have the last 2 games. I'll be very blunt. I don't have a good vibe. They're very difficult teams on the road, so I'm going to give that a loss. I'm hoping not by much because we got railroaded by them a year ago.
And then the final game is at Cal on Saturday, November 28th, which that would be Small Business Saturday. Pitt at Cal.
My gut says to me, Cal pulls that one off. We talked about Mason Heinschel, who I think is one of the best sophomores in the nation. Their quarterback, who is like Polynesian descent. I can't think of his name right now. He's a baller. That kid can play. The lag from the trip, I think that's our 3rd loss.
So 9-3, is that good enough to win the ACC this year and get his place in the championship game?
I think there's a lot of pressure on Narduzzi to win it, and I think that should be enough to put us in position to play for it. And it's a shame. Think about it. Pitt was 1 game away a year ago. But I think the personnel and the team is better this year. So yes, I think there's a high probability there in the ACC championship.
Okay.
Now, let me throw this out. I want to be fair. If the wheels come off, then there's going to be a lot of heat on Coach Narduzzi. But there's a lot of talent on this team. I could see that happening.
I mean, with games like Virginia Tech, like you mentioned, and Georgia Tech, Florida State, I mean, it could go 7-5 if they don't play well. It's Division I, major conference football. You gotta play.
And I will say this: the reason I'm so iffy on Tech, and that could be a fourth loss, their person within the age of NIL, when your coach leaves, you lose the whole team. So WVU kind of went through this. Like 70% of the rosters new. So I can't predict what they're going to look like. So they could be game beaters. For all I know, we could drop that one as well, and you're 8-4. But it'll be interesting. For now, I'm just going to lean Pitt's way, but that could end up being a loss depending on how they look. We'll see.
So that's the football, 9-3, Pitt Guru. How about Allegheny College with your son Max this year?
Right now, I think they're predicted fourth in the pack, maybe fifth. They're rebuilding. Coach Brendan Lair is phenomenal. He's a great leader of young men. Max started with his base class, first class that came in. They've improved every year. So what they're looking for now is to kind of lock heads with, some of the better teams there, like, Grove City, which is a championship caliber team, Carnegie Mellon, some of those others. I'll be on Carnegie Mellon on Friday. Carnegie Mellon, excuse me. They're going to be scrimmaging. But I think this is a team on the rise, a program on the rise. They're building an over $1 million all football only facility attached to the stadium. And I'll say this openly, Allegheny is easily one of the best stadiums in the pack. So this is a program on the rise with money, with a great coaching staff.
So you'll be talking Pitt football, I'm guessing, on Saturday. This Saturday, you're doing a meet and greet, Pitt Athletic alums and fans at, let me take your message here. You're going to be at Southern Tier. That's on the North Shore, Saturday from 1 to 3.
Right, exactly. It's catty corner to PNC Park. You can't miss it. The beer's phenomenal. God bless the manager there, Anna Braley. We love her. She's been working with us. We have had RSVPs coming in every day. We're going to have former players, coaches, and fans coming. Basically, we're keeping the podcast to a minimum, and we're just going to be meeting and greeting, having a great time, just getting some fellowship ready and gearing up for the season.
If you're a Penn State fan, are you allowed into Southern Tier Saturday between that?
You know what? We're nice. I might even buy him a beer, but don't wear your Penn State colors, please. This is the other two may yell at me for even saying that, but let's hold off. Let's keep it blue and gold.
I am from Tennessee. I moved here to Pittsburgh after college at the University of Memphis. I married a Yinzer, had Yinzer children. I root for Pittsburgh, and I like Pitt, and I do root for Pitt. I want you to know that, Harry. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't born and raised a Pitt fan, though. But it really angered me a few years back when James Franklin, after Penn State beat Pitt, did that smug post-game interview when he goes, beating Pitt for us is just like beating Youngstown State or something. It's nothing. They're not even a rival. Because of that, I was glad to see them get trounced last year and him to move on. I don't know. I held a grudge against them.
They absolutely fell apart. Let me say something positive, and I'll say this. I think Matt Campbell's a good coach. I think they look like buffoons through the search. They could have picked up Campbell early. I knew this. I'm connected to a lot at Football Scoop, a lot of guys. I knew Campbell wanted the job. I don't know why it took them eons to select him. I think he's going to do a good job there. I don't know if he's going to win a championship there, but he's going to do a great job. But it really did. Franklin, the wheels came off. It just got uglier and uglier. And we'll see what happens. He stole half their team, if not more, and added a lot of 4-stars at Virginia Tech. But he still has to coach them. He can recruit. I'm going to give Franklin a lot of credit. But can he coach them? We'll see how it turns out at Virginia Tech.
What's the strategy of a coach to come to say something like that? Because to me, that's I get it. Pitt's not in the Big Ten, but they're a major college football program in a big conference. Why would you?
I got it.
Like
it's all psychology, right?
Okay.
He's what he's doing is judo selling by demeaning the other major program in the state. You're making yourself look better. I got it. It's a rivalry. He was chest thumping. It ticked me off at the time. That was the strategy. The funny part is he ended up with pie on his face last year. and went from there. And I'll say this too. I mean, you think Pitt fans don't like him? Ask Penn State fans at this point, because he went in, he rated their recruiting class, he rated the players, shifted a lot of those players over. And, like I said, if you ask them now, they're praying that Penn State goes down there and plays Virginia Tech at some point.
Well, you'll have a chance to beat him on his field, by the way, this season.
I'll look forward to it, man. It'll be neat. I'll try to get down there as well.
All right. Harry Psaros, his new book is called From Struggle to Strength. You can also follow him on Twitter/X as the Pitt Guru. Are you all over as Pitt Guru or just mostly on Twitter X?
Mostly on X, because it's a lot of sports content, but I put a lot on my book and autism out there as well. And you know what? God bless the fans, because they know it and they're good with that. But elsewhere on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Instagram, I'm like 30,000 plus now. I'm growing. Go to Harry Psaros and you'll find me. And you know what? Message me. I'd like to hear from you.
All right. Well, thank you for taking your time. I'll be rooting for Pitt this year too. All right.
Awesome. I like to hear it. I'll bring you a beer down. That's great.
Because I'm a Memphis fan and they're in the American Conference, I'm always watching the dominoes of conference realignment. Like, I think my school's one of those. It's in the, if there was a big realignment, they're in the 3 to 5 schools that would get picked up for sure. Do you see any of that happening anytime soon? I know they're kind of waiting on that ACC conference contract. Do you think there's truth to the rumors that the Big Ten and SEC are waiting to raid some of the ACC schools eventually?
I could see it happening. I think Pitt's always been a natural fit for the Big Ten, which would be a lot more at that point. But I honestly, the rumor was for many, many years that the Big Ten coveted Pitt, but Paterno stopped it from happening.
Oh, yeah.
He was the one that put the foot down. Because honestly, you put Pitt in the Big Ten, now you're on an equal playing field. That's the way they saw it. I do think that could be a destination down the line, or maybe ACC leadership's not exactly stellar. You talk about Memphis, maybe a team like Memphis and some others, you expand, gobble them up, and you have a great conference as well. I like the ACC. So we'll see how it turns out, and it'll be interesting. There's going to be a lot of dominoes falling in the future. Well,
because that's why Florida State and Clemson were suing, right? They wanted to try to, go to either the SEC or Big Ten. And what's weird is there wasn't even a public invitation, but they're suing to get out of there. I would laugh about it because I'm like, what if the ACC let them out? What if the Big Ten and the SEC didn't want them? They just.
And I'll tell you this right now. I don't think the SEC is so excited about Florida State right now. They have been abysmal. And for as big a program as it is, they don't have the NIL money people think Miami does, but not Florida State. So they're kind of a pariah at the moment, so we'll see what happens. But like I said, it's I miss the good old days of college football where development mattered. You don't have to worry about buying players, but it's the new normal and you just got to get used to it.
Yeah. The reality is, you could have a new lineup every year. And the fact that Pitt has that quarterback, Mason Heinschel, is how you say his name, Heinschel?
A great young man. I got to meet his family at the abysmal military bowl that I attended. But an absolutely great young man, great family, and I keep in touch with his father. And I think Mason's going to do great things this season.
I hope he sticks around long enough where we all know his name and how to pronounce it correctly very soon.
Exactly.
All right, Harry, thank you for your time. Pitt Guru, From Struggle to Strength. You have a wonderful family. Thanks for all you're doing for the community, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Just been such an honor. I appreciate your time. Thank you.